All right, happy September, happy reopening, depending on where you live. I want to point out that a lot of people are talking about recovery and how a couple months ago there was a study that the COVID recession only lasted 2 months. I think it's a very flawed measurement. I mean, we went downhill for 2 months, but we were in the hole for quite some time. Go watch my previous video about that. I did a little bit of an analogy. If you were to get seriously hurt, right, in an accident, right, as soon as you get out of that accident scene and into the hospital, you're probably already on your way up, right? That doesn't mean that you were only in pain for that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long that accident lasted, right? To say that the economy was in a recession for 2 months kind of makes that mistake. But I do want to point out that it's September of 2021. I'm actually experiencing a little bit of a cliff, actually this month. Not at the beginning of the recession, but this month. Let me elaborate a little bit. I'm a professor at a relatively small university, and I also work at a tutoring center. Now, the university is still in lockdown until at least the beginning of the year. The tutoring center is kind of hybrid, but the owner keeps wanting me to go back. Every so often I get a message from him, and sometimes it's very impersonal. Oh, we got a student who wants an in-person lesson on Thursday. And I'm thinking to myself, in a week you expect everything to just, for in my life to come to a grind just so that one student? I mean, sure, maybe I can work with the student remotely first and see how it goes, and if we have good chemistry I may consider it, but he goes, oh, a new student, John Smith, wants to see you on Thursday. Seriously? I mean, I think the pandemic has turned us into very impersonal creatures. We become keyboard warriors in front of the keyboard, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, so I have 5, 6 students who are all remote, and then I got this one student who wants to do it in person, and I'm thinking to myself, I gotta move back to Seattle, the rent is at least twice as high, and now I have to commute to that student. It's not just 1 hour anymore. See, when I work with a student remotely, and it's like, today I had a student from 5 to 6, didn't even have to stop my routine, right? I was actually on the road, I pull into a library, finish with the student, get to mingle with everyone, and like 2 minutes later after I finish with the student, I'm literally at a grocery store, shopping, and then 5 minutes before that I was at a bank looking for coins. I like to get rolls of coins to search. So you can see it was literally 1 hour that I committed to the job. When I have to commute, it doesn't work that way, and plus there's car expenses. I don't know, what is it about some people when they start a business, they forget all these expenses that everybody else has, right? Anyways, that's another story for another time. So I get 2 or 3 students. I mean, if it's everybody who wants to work in person, that's great. That's very beautiful. I love teaching in person. I just don't like all the expenses that come with it. Now, there's another fiscal cliff for my life this month. So a week ago, or actually earlier this week, the federal unemployment benefits ended. Now, I wasn't collecting unemployment, so you would think this doesn't apply to me. It kind of does, though. The students I tutor are probably not paying with their unemployment, but the people I'm competing with for those students are affected by unemployment, right? So this past summer has been a great summer to negotiate all sorts of working conditions. My big one is when I go to an office, I don't like fragrances. I was able to open up about that. I was able to open up about some equality issues, right? If people harass me for eating differently than themselves, right? I have dietary restrictions. That used to be a big source of torment in the workplace. And now that there's a whole lot, employers want to keep their employees, they've been able to avoid some of that harassment. It's kind of weird how the power dynamic shifted. But this past week, as we were approaching the end of unemployment, I felt a lot less of those benefits. Now that the benefits have ended, I don't know. I think the coming weeks are going to be more challenging in terms of negotiating what I want. But you know what? I got the conversation going, and that's good too. I knew it couldn't last forever. And plus, it's not like it's free, right? I pay for that with my taxes to get these benefits. It's good that it was only temporary, and I got it going, and I got some momentum behind myself now. Got the train going. Now there's another cliff. This one is my own doing. This one has nothing to do with the pandemic. But during the pandemic, you guys go open a video of mine from 2 years ago. I've lost a lot of weight. My resolution in 2020 was to normalize my relationship with food, which I've handled very beautifully. Now, the problem is that I spend a whole lot less money on food today than I did 2 years ago. And you would think that's a good thing, right? So I spent about half as much as I did 2 years ago, which is nice. The problem is that the extra food budget has seemingly evaporated, right? If I wanted to go back to eating the way I did 2 years ago, I literally can't think of a way I could afford it, which is really weird, right? And it feels like a cliff, right? If something were to go wrong and I can't continue to lose weight, that would be a problem, right? I can afford to continue to lose weight today, so it doesn't seem like a problem. But I recognize that I haven't managed my money in the best way because I felt like it was free money all these months, right? Kind of like the lottery syndrome, right? It's kind of hard to go back to your pre-lottery winning lifestyle, right? Anyways. So just some food for thought. The fiscal cliff seems to continue for a lot of you. Actually, this cliff is probably bigger, especially going back to the office. That cliff is probably a lot bigger than the cliff I experienced in March 2020.